Hi, I'm David, and I'm here to talk to you about cryptocurrency price analysis for Friday, December 7th, 2018. Today, we're going to take an extended look at Bitcoin, where it is, and some price predictions about where it's going in this bear market. We're also going to take a brief look at Ethereum and talk about the flash crash that happened yesterday on Coinbase. And lastly, we're going to look at Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV and discuss the flippening that we're currently in the midst of. So do not forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started. Well, here we have Bitcoin on the 1 hour, and you can see the crash that just happened. We found some support about 33.20 there. See the current market cap is just under 60 billion, and the average price is about 3,400, but on Coinbase we're around 33.70, a little lower. Biggest news today, besides this crash that's happening right now, the SEC did delay the VanEck SolidX Bitcoin ETF decision until February. This could be what prompted the crash. That would be unfortunate because it's been a year of a lot of negative ETF news, but I don't know of any other major news that's come out, and it did happen around the time the crash started. That being said, if you look at this chart, we've had a lot of downside action. I suspect we would have seen more either way. You see, like I said, we got 33.20 is the support we found, but let's move out to the daily. You can see that there's not very much historical support here, so this could just be a temporary hang up. All the way back here, you see there's a little bit, and that's probably what caused the hang up. But zooming in again a little bit, you see we have downward resistance trend that's happening. We'd have to break above that to see any real upside, and realistically there is more room to go to the downside. There's some support here at 3,000 psychological, but even that doesn't have a lot of historical basis for it. And then below that, the next real support hits the mid 2000s, 2,500 kind of range. So if we keep seeing the sell volume, it's not unlikely we could go that low. A lot of people are wondering right now basically what we can expect with this bear market. How low are we going to go? Is the bottom in? Where will the bottom be? And to cover that, I'd actually like to discuss some price analysis that's going on out there right now and bring in some of my own. So let's look at that. All right, let's look at some predictions I found floating around the internet of where the price action might go, where the bottom might be. I should make it clear that I'm going to respond to these. I'm going to report what people are saying and what their reasoning is, and I'll respond with my own opinions, but I'm not trying to call anybody out. I don't know better than anybody. I'm not going to say these are right or wrong, just that they have their opinions and I have mine, just to be clear. And if at any point you see something that I missed or didn't understand, feel free to clarify in the comments below. I'm glad to be humbled. I'm just trying to learn, like you. So, without further ado, here we have crypto trader Michael Moreau predicts Bitcoin will bottom at about 3,000 level. His reasoning here seems to be that basically there's not a ton of support between 3,000 and 4,000, which is accurate because we rocketed up so fast through it last year. There's not a lot of historical support at any of these levels, which is part of the problem we're seeing right now. So it's not that unrealistic, and 3,000 is a pretty solid psychological level. So the idea that we could touch on that or land there as a bottom is not uneducated. Then we have Bloomberg analyst Mike McGlone, who says it's heading to 1,500. Now, full disclosure here, I could not really understand what his logic was for the 1,500 level. He mentions this continuous mean of 1,500. I'm assuming that means the average price of Bitcoin over the continuous history of its life. But if anybody knows what his logic is, please illuminate me. I'm not saying he's wrong. I just don't see exactly why 1,500 is the number. It seems a little bit overly bearish currently without any real reasoning behind it. And I did do some extra research on this, and I couldn't find an explanation that was satisfactory. So I don't see any reason to think it'll go as low as 1,500, but I certainly can't rule it out. So next we have WalletInvestor.com, who uses algorithms and such to analyze the price action. And they seem to think that we're looking at around a 2678 level. They seem to be going with the idea that we're going to basically go back down to the 2017 levels before it went exponential, but when we had gotten through the previous highs. Again, if we hit about 3,000, that would be about a 85% retracement from the highs of last year. If we hit around 2,500 or so, it would be about an 87.5% retracement, which is very much within previous Bitcoin dips. So it's certainly not implausible, a fairly reasonable prediction. Here's what I kind of came up with. I'm a big believer in looking at historical price action to determine future plausibilities. So here's a screenshot I took of basically the Bitcoin chart from a few years ago in the 2014-2015 run up and crash. And as you can see, it looks fairly similar to where we're at right now, not too different. There's more of like a downward sideways trend instead of a plain sideways trend like Weimar had. But I think we are roughly about here, if I'm correct in thinking that these parallel each other, because we had somewhat sideways and then we have kind of a bit of a crash. And if that's true, then we are looking at, whether or not it goes a bit lower, we are looking at probably a longer bear market, probably more sideways action for a little while. Is that 6 months? Is that a year? Last time it was about a year, but I'm not saying that's what it's going to be. Just that because this is what happened a few years ago, this is not implausible that the psychology will unfold the same way again. And to further highlight that, I know you've probably all seen this, but it goes around on the internet and on crypto Twitter, but psychology of a market cycle. Now, this is a little bit generic, but it's not invalid. And this, it doesn't look that different than us, in a broad sense. And that would mean we're somewhere down here in the depression phase. Again, a lot of you have probably seen this, but very briefly, you have a run-up. It gets exponential with excitement and euphoria. You have a little bit of complacency. Once it gets overextended, people don't know what to do anymore. That freaks people out. And then you're going to have a downtime and a winter, so to speak. So this is, of course, also barring any specific big good or bad news in the market. Again, this is kind of a generic pattern. So roughly speaking, my prediction is kind of like I was saying, this may or may not be the bottom. We could have some more room for downside, even as low as 2,500 or so. I can't rule out lower, but that's the lowest that I see as being kind of a logical level. If we make it to 2,500, we'll see what happens. But that's like the lowest of the rational predictions I could make. But I do think what is pretty likely is that we'll see a lot of sideways action for some time to come. This bear market's probably not going to be over for a while. Doesn't mean we'll go a lot lower, just that we're probably not going to start rallying for some time. Barring big news, positive or negative. The only thing that I think could bring down Bitcoin or crypto right now would be some fundamental technological discovery of like a huge bug, a huge flaw in the system that for over 10 years hasn't been discovered. Or some very concerted effort on the part of banks and governments together trying to crack down and eradicate crypto. We haven't really seen that. We've seen more of like a cautious optimism around crypto in a lot of governments. Barring one of those things, though, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. I don't think this bear cycle will last forever. I think we're going to see us come out of it. It's just a matter of when. Probably not just yet, though. All right, I'm going to go over a few more setups that are interesting today. Next up is Ethereum, and here we have it on the 1 hour. You can see the same crash that's affecting everybody right now. I just want to mention that the market cap right now is a little under 9 billion, about 8.6. And the price is 83, but on Coinbase we're looking at a little bit closer to 82. And so you can see, I'm just kind of showing this for a couple of reasons. One, yes, it is moving a lot like Bitcoin, but all year Ethereum's been performing a bit worse than Bitcoin, and right now is no exception. Let's head out to the daily. It's probably the most telling. And like Bitcoin, it's got this downward resistance line, but truth be told, Ethereum's pretty much had a downward resistance line going all year. It's just changed rates pretty much, and we found some support at, again, just above 80, but if we zoom out, there's not a lot of, like Bitcoin, not a lot of historical support here, just a little bit from last year, which is probably what's causing us to hold up. Below that, there's pretty much nothing down to about $50. So if it does go down that low, it's probably because the whole market has gone down, like I was just saying with Bitcoin. We'll have to kind of wait and see. It could potentially, like it has all year, perform even a little bit worse than the market. But that's Ethereum for you right now. It could be a good time to get in, but you might want to wait to see if it goes a little bit lower first. But like Bitcoin, I think the technology's sound. I don't think it's out of the game by any means. Oh, and some interesting news affecting Ethereum today. We had an Ethereum price flash crash down to 1305 on Coinbase. It was brief, and it was probably a whale who was selling a bit of ether on Coinbase. It only affected the one exchange. So if you had some outlying buy orders down on the low end, on the outside chance something like this happened, like it did last year, then congratulations. You probably did pretty well. Other than that, though, Ethereum's pretty much moving with the market and probably will for some time. Well, for my last couple of setups, I would like to talk about Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, because as you may already know, we are in the midst of a flippening. Basically, Bitcoin SV has overtaken Bitcoin Cash ABC, commonly referred to just as Bitcoin Cash now, and Tether. Let's look at CoinMarketCap here. You can see it's by tuned to about $200 million. Here's Bitcoin Cash, and here's SV. Matter of fact, SV is the only coin performing exceptionally well right now in the market. So let's take a look at the charts here. We're on the 4-hour. At first glance, Bitcoin Cash kind of looks like it's just responding to the market, and it kind of is. It's well overextended to the downside on the RSI, but it has found some support here around, looks like $97. However, if you look at Bitcoin SV, you can see that it is almost like an opposite almost an opposite chart, basically. It's instead of going down, it's going up. Unlike the entire market right now, it is actually overextended to the upside. So this is what's probably happening is some response to this lawsuit that's going on against Roger Ver and Jihan Wu. You might recall at the time of the fork, Bitcoin.com diverted all of its mining power, all of its hash power to mining Bitcoin Cash ABC, causing at least a temporary win of the hash war. Well, now basically people are suing them, saying that that wasn't cool and that was market manipulation. We'll let the courts decide on that, but it does seem to be affecting the fact that whether it's just that or also some concerted effort on the end of the SV folk, there's basically a very clear shift happening between the two coins. I would say this shift is running out of steam. Again, well overextended on the upside for SV, overextended on the downside for Bitcoin Cash. It looks like this is hitting some resistance at its recent previous highs of about 115. We saw Bitcoin Cash was finding some support at about 97. My guess is you're going to see a little bit of a bobbling back and forth for a little while of these two coins. I think we're going to pull back closer to each other right now. Whether the flippening will undo or how many times they might go back and forth, I can't say. But I'm suspecting it's not going to be until the market as a whole kind of gets itself together and starts moving up that we'll see a clear lead get taken, probably. Until then, we'll probably watch a little bit of back and forth, unless some major event gives the nod to one side. So that's probably what's going to keep happening with Bitcoin Cash for a little while. Well, that ought to do it for me today. As ever, this is not investment advice. This is just one man's opinion. Go do your own research. Until next time, do not forget to like and subscribe, and good luck with your trading.